can you tell me about Kaija Saariaho's Lullaby for solo cello?
Maybe I should first tell you a little bit about the background. How does it say on the first page there? For Anssi, in memoriam, Oliver Nassen. So they were both really important friends for me, and they knew each other partly through me, because both heard news about the other regularly through me, and both were asking for news about each other through me. They were very aware of what each of them was doing, and they appreciated each other's music very much, which is not so common, because the musical worlds are just about as far from each other as you can be, their musical temperaments. I even think that they may have been a little bit afraid of getting to know each other more intimately, so that they wouldn't get into disagreements about the music they write.
Can I ask, do you know if Olli ever conducted any of Kaija's music?
He had conducted in the 80s at Tanglewood once Lichtbogen, and then we did with the Concertgebouw Orchestra Notes on Light. It was for me like I had my two best friends there, and I was like witnessing them agreeing. So anyway, what happened when I gave Kaija the news of Olli's passing? She was very moved by it, and a few weeks later she called me that she had a dream about a lullaby, and that she, when she woke, she kind of imagined this piece, which was the nucleus of the piece. Like, this is something that came to her spontaneously, but that now she will need to actually write a piece with that. And it took her until a year later before she finished the first version of the piece. It was unusually difficult for her, and she stopped many times and came back to it, because she wanted to include something from Olli's world in her piece. The idea was wonderful, but then she realized that their worlds are so far from each other that it was not evident at all. It was not easy. So finally she decided to take a fragment from a little piece that Olli had written for Kaija's 50th birthday. Olli had written this one-page piece called Tarantella, which had 50 measures. He used the letters of Kaija's name, and that was given to Kaija as a birthday gift, and it went into a book with lots of other birthday messages to her. And when Kaija started talking about this piece and wanting to find something of Olli's to use, I said, hang on, isn't there that little piece that he wrote for you? That maybe that's the connection. And she took it out and got this two-measure fragment. That was the first version of the piece, which she sent me by email, and we looked at it. I played it to her, and she wasn't happy. My first instinct was that let me just practice it. Maybe by practicing it and actually playing it well, you would like it more. And she said, no, that's not it. It's something else. By November of 2019, I did the first performance in a private concert in Finland. The piece is, I think it's roughly 8 sections, and each section finishes now with the same kind of an idea of a tritone, B natural, F natural, and the F natural repeated several times. It was actually my student Esteban who pointed out where that one measure came from. She went to look for in other pieces of Olli's, and she found the obvious piece, which is Sonja's Lullaby, that Olli wrote for his daughter's birthday many years earlier in the 70s, I think, 77, I think. And she takes that one measure, which is also a repeating in the Sonja's Lullaby, that now becomes the bridge that brings the piece always from Kaija's piece to Olli's and vice versa.
Can you talk a little bit about the techniques in the piece, or what makes this special?
What makes it special is that it works less on transitions than Kaija's music often does. If one looks, or the cello pieces from the very beginning, her first cello piece, Petals, which is basically based on transitions and constant metamorphosis of material. Now this is clearly a piece that opposes tranquility with something very different, and it made it very difficult to understand that what are these two worlds, because it's like there is this quiet lullaby material of Kaija's, and then there's this often quite aggressive sounding material. And it actually came to me in one performance after I'd already played it for 2 years, and during the performance I realized that, wait a minute, I can think of this as 2 stages of grief. There's the acceptance and there's the anger. I usually did not ask Kaija about whether she agreed on my metaphors when I think of the piece, because she didn't like to call the emotion with a name, but this was something so important for me that a few weeks before she died, when I last came to play some of her pieces for her at home, I played this and I asked her that would she be against of me thinking that this the material of Olli's represents her anger about his passing, and she answered yes. No more discussion about that, but that much I got.
That was a clear answer. Yeah.
Then you asked about techniques. Well, in fact, this doesn't use many so-called extended techniques at all. There's the particular trill which comes a second bar, and the piece finishes with the same, which is a trill that is between a stop note and the natural harmonic when you lift your finger to half pressure. This trill is very particular to Kaija, and the most common trill that she uses, which actually, if you look at Kaija's cello pieces, any cello piece after Petals, there's always this trill of the low E flat on the C string with its natural harmonic, which is a 2 octave higher G natural.
One thing I do see, of course, is sulpant, which she uses a lot, and I was wondering if you could talk about her idea of what kind of sound you go for when you're playing her sul cantacello.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Kaija's music doesn't really exist at all without colors. That textures are very important. You start with the textures, but before you bring in the colors, it doesn't sound like her music. And usually it's through transformation, either from the normal sound to sul ponticello, or from normal to sul ponticello and then back to sul tasto, which is over the fingerboard. It's always a gradual thing. What that means is that very often you have this transformation happening on a harmonic, or even on a harmonic trill, and what happens when you move from very close to the bridge to very far from the bridge, the harmonic doesn't speak the same way, and actually you get lots of extra overtones when you go towards the bridge, and which disappear when you go far away from the bridge. So these transitions, which are controllable but not absolutely controllable.
And that's what she wanted, that
yes,
unpredictability.
That it's not you do it the same way, but you cannot control your bow, the the speed of your bow. Nobody can control it 100%. So one has to accept what could be called accidents of overtones that suddenly speak where yesterday they didn't. And also when you look at this, is that for a long time Kaija was not thought to be writing fast passage work at all, and it was actually for her, she had to make an effort to bring fast rhythmic passages into her writing, and here you can see that that is not a problem at all. This is full of it's the extremes of tender music, and then this, she calls it frettoloso, hasty, hurried music, which is very rhythmical. So these are very particular to this piece.
I see that she writes Lullaby in measure 40. So does that mean that the entire first 39 bars are sort of a prelude to the lullaby, which only appears at the end, or?
What it means is that the lullaby that comes after measure 40, that is the lullaby that started this whole process. That's the lullaby that she first invented or received from her imagination. The whole piece starts with a fragment of that, but we need to work with our grief before we can actually listen to the whole lullaby and accept what has happened. Then after the lullaby, there's the last gesture, lentissimo con seria, which she even asked me when she had already decided that the piece is finished. She still asked me that maybe should she take that out? Would it be enough to just finish with the lullaby? And I, of course, I didn't want to affect her decision, but I did tell her that I really love that gesture. That after you've struggled with coming to terms with the piece and you've played the lullaby, you have this last breath with which you can move on. I could still say that I find that it's important to understand that it's built like music always was built, from ideas, from motives, from sections, and you have to be able to decide what do I understand as being each section. I need to make them clear to myself. Only that way I can make them clear to the audience. You need to go beyond the modern looking notation and just see that you don't need to be a musicologist to see that the first section finishes at the end of bar 5, the second one at the end of bar 13, then the next one at the end of bar 22, at least for me. That way you then give an architecture for the piece. Until there are new pieces coming up, you are always thinking of, oh, there's a new piece, it's interesting to see what the new piece brings. But when the composer is no longer there, you start looking backwards and you see what is common, and that there are already signs that she was moving into this kind of direction like 5-10 years earlier. But she's kind of arriving to this new style in these last couple of years of her life, and especially, of course, in the very last piece. But I was shocked when I then later started listening to that last piece with the earlier pieces. I realized that actually no, she didn't invent it suddenly. Everything is a long process, and it's not a question of sitting down and saying that I'm going to write a different piece this time. Although she did give herself like challenges, and like in this piece, her challenge was that I'm going to use all this music, and that definitely forced her music into something different. But she didn't know herself where it was going to.
Personal question, because we were talking about your interpretation of the piece as a brief between two kind of different worlds.
Yeah.
So also mention that Kaija was dreaming this melody that is at the end of the piece, but when you are playing the piece, who is singing the lullaby?
Well, for me, it's in fact it's a double lullaby, and it's Kaija kind of admits it herself by having chosen from Ollis Tarantella the two measures which use the letters of her name, E flat, A, D, A, B natural. She of course had no idea that she was going to be very ill, and she had only a few years to live. She was already ill when I played the first performance of this, and for me it's a double lullaby, that kind of an omen, and for me that's what makes it so dramatic for me when I play it, because I feel that I'm playing the lullaby for two of my best friends, and that's quite unique.